Well, I couldn't sleep really, and I was thinking about them car stories, and I thought I did the little videos there on use what to look for in used cars, and I thought maybe I'll tell a couple of these car stories here for 5-10 minutes and see how this goes over, because I'm just looking for content and what people are looking for, right now with a new channel, and I don't know what people want to hear, so I'll talk about them this millionaire where I went out to buy this used car. It was a Saturn, and rust free. I mean, it looked like a gem. Check it all over. Runs great. Like I said, I pull up in their driveway, and it's just $1 million mansion on the water, and I'm thinking right away, I'm younger, and I'm thinking, oh man, am I getting a steal today, Because I think they wanted $1,500 for it back. It was a while back. I'd say 10 years ago or something. But even back then, $1,500 was a chunk of change. But to get a nice car, no rust, it was a nice color, gold, I think, and clean. And I pulled in this driveway. I seen the car, and I thought there's no spots of oil, nothing. And I thought, man, what a deal, I'm the first one there, and I didn't follow my own rule. Drive the car for 30 miles, 15 miles, 15 miles. Because the house is just so nice. They got brand new Land Rovers and everything else. And the story was from them that the wife was selling me the car because she doesn't even work. She was at home, and I found out what the husband did. I'll tell you later. But I'm just chomping at the bit, younger guy, and I'm just like, this is just too good to be true, but it's true, and I'm blessed today. I'm getting a free deal. I won't even have to work on this thing. I'll be able to drive it to school and flip it off for $3,000 anytime I want. And the story was from her that her son, it was his first car, and they were selling it because he got a new Land Rover. And there were multiple Land Rovers in the garage and everything else. This story was just perfect, I'm like, oh man. I took that thing and broke my number one rule and only went around the block, And it was about 25 miles from my house, out on a nice bay, on the water and everything. And I broke my own rule to test drive it for 30 miles. Anyway, boom, bang, boom, give them the money. Title's clean, keys, fresh smell, air freshener in the car. I mean, the works, right? I'm like, this is it. This is the ticket. I'm so happy. I'm getting on the highway, and I make it about 8 miles. And she shuts right off. Shuts right off on the side of the highway, right? And I didn't bring any tools, nothing, because, I'm like, usually I'll bring a toolbox, everything, I suckered right into this deal. Right into this deal. Thinking, what kind of millionaire would even care about $1,500, right? What kind of millionaire would even care about such a $1,500, This is perfect. I'm going to make it home. So I got nothing, right? And so, as a mechanic, I go right to the fuse box, because it's got lights and everything else. It just shut off, right? Needless to say, whatever. I get in the fuse box and I find that the fuel pump fuse is blowing, okay? Yeah, okay. So I'm pulling fuses out of other parts of the fuse box, like ABS, whatever. A mechanic can do this stuff, just to make it home and trying it. So I'm putting another fuse in. I make it less than, 300 yards and another fuse pops. Well, I'm to the point where I've gone through so many fuses that I'm not even going to get this car home, If I can't even go through another fuser, I won't get this car home. And I'm like, what the hell, So I take don't ever do this. I take a paper clip and I run it between the fuse where the fuse would pop in. So you're either gonna short something out, melt something. It's a dangerous thing to do. Don't do it. But I did it because I was just stressed. I just had enough. I pop it in there, start the car, and I'm seeing if it gets red hot. Anyway, I did make it home. But it turns out that this is the weirdest problems that, anyway, I forgot to tell you this. So, after about the 5th fuse popped, I'm like, this is BS. I'm going to call this owner, that lady, and ask her, if she could help me get it back or whatever else, or if she knew what was going on, or... So I call, right? She answers the phone, right? And this was the nicest lady when I was there, right? The nicest lady, yeah, take my money, whatever. When I called back, she knew I was going to call. She knew I wasn't going to make it home. I was set right up by these people. They knew that car wasn't going to make it. They had already had problems, and I'll tell you how I know. I called her. She was already ready for me. And she said, my husband's a lawyer, is a lawyer in town. We already checked the law, and you have no recourse, and don't call here anymore. Boom, just like that. I got hook, line, and sinkered, and I was a mechanic at the time for at least a couple years, through at least 5-8 years or something. And I got hook, line, and sinkered like that. That's why I tell you, you be even more cautious when you think you're going somewhere rich, because they didn't get all that money not grabbing every couple thousand they could get, and they're smart, quick, and they get all the money. They get top dollar for the stuff they got because of the perception we have of rich people. For all I know, they're underground on mortgage. I didn't know. I was a kid, 20, you know what I mean? I didn't know at the time, 27-year-old kid, thinking I knew everything about cars. Anyway, it's one of them really weird problems where it only starts happening once the fuel pump gets hot. The motor starts shorting out and popping fuses, so you got no fuel pump, right? So it turned out to be just I had to rip the whole car apart, replace the fuel pump, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turned out to not be that big of a deal. Nobody could find the problem. I had enough experience that I located the problem. I seen what was going on, but I could have burnt that car right to the ground. I had other cars start on fire. I could tell stories all night, but I'm just going to start with this story here. So that's why I was talking about it and what to look for on used car sales, and that's why I thought, I better tell this story because I got it on my head tonight, and I'm like, maybe somebody will get a kick out of it. So anyway, that's the time I got stuck on the side of the highway. Horrible situation. That's just one story. I'm trying to think if I should tell another one here quick, Another time, I'll tell a second one. I go up north, and I'm buying a Fiero. I bought a lot of Fieros in my day. I had one. They have some notorious issues here and there, but for running transmissions, motors, and once you get them all wired up, they're all right. So, I buy a Fiero. I'm going to buy a Fiero, and it's probably 45 minutes away. Anyway, yeah, the car ran great when we had it running. That's your first sign that you should... As a mechanic, you think that people ain't as smart as you. Like, not in a mean way or anything, but you've seen so much that your experience is almost a negative, because I'll go into a situation and it's like, well, I doubt they got as much experience as me, so... You got to be careful when you go out in the country with country folks, because they grow up on farms with a lot of experience on vehicles and tractors, and I avoid farms at this point. I avoid buying cars that are out of town. I won't do it. I just simply won't do it. Great people, Don't get me wrong. Some of the best working people in America, farmers and everything else. But it's just, I don't even know how to say, I'm not trying to say it in any bad way. They know how to keep a car running. And when they're ready to sell it, it's ready for that car to go, I guess is the best way to put it. Nothing wrong with them. They're great folks. And for their vehicle, they can keep them running, right? But they have enough information. They're smart enough. They're really good mechanically enough on the farm. They can keep a vehicle running forever on their farm. They got the tools, the welders. When that vehicle, farmers don't like to get rid of good stuff. That's what you learn in this business for a long time. A farmer's not going to sell you the good truck, okay? He's going to sell you the backup truck that's been used and welded, and there's nothing against that. They're honest people. It's not like they're not going to tell you. It's not like when you pull up to the farm, they're going to try to hide anything on you. The car is going to be running. It's just that when there's a vehicle to sell, they're not going to sell you the one they're using for the farm, okay? They're going to sell you one that has been used and it's time for it to go somewhere else, okay? And if you're a kid on the farm or something down the road and it stays in the community and you get help and you know each other, it's one thing. But when you're a city slicker, you go out there to buy a vehicle, you're asking for trouble because the farmers have had enough of the vehicle they're selling and they're ready to move on from it. Anyway, I picked up a car from them. I didn't make it 10 miles though, and it cut out, and I'm like, what's that smell? I looked in the rearview mirror. The spark plug wires over the years from sitting in the garage had soaked up all the oil that was leaking from the gasket, the seals on the, man, what's it called now? I'm losing my mind. Anyway, the oil was dripping out of the gasket and the spark plug wires, the old rubber, had wore out. So it was all cracked up, on an old car sitting in a barn, and it sucked all the oil into the wire. So and it was sitting on top of the motor. And when the motor got hot, the whole back of the car started on fire. I was driving down the highway, and the road was lighting up. I didn't realize for at least 2 miles that the back of the whole motor and the Fieros in the back has 2 vents on the side. Flames were just shooting up and it was lighting up the road. By the time I got off the road, and luckily it was winter, so I had coats and I put them on top of there. That car was stuck on the side of the highway. I had to pay for towing, and then EPA or something, they were gonna charge me for having a hazard on the road, and it turned into the biggest horror story ever. I mean, it ended up, that Fiero I bought for $750 ended up costing me, I don't know, I think I might have broke even after doing all the work I had to re-wash and paint the whole engine bay and replace almost every wire on it. By the time I sold that car, I'll be lucky to break even. But I learned that day, don't watch barn find videos, okay? You watch these, Grandpa had a Corvette for 10 years in the garage. Don't do it. Listen to my stories. Even a mechanic can barely break even on these deals. You get them, the tires are so dry rotted that you can't. Don't touch them. Tires dry rot. The spark plug wires. Spark plugs you can't even get out of the cylinders because they're rusted right in there. And I mean, they are rusted in there. You pull them out with the, don't touch them. Every piece of fabric that sits in a barn, if it sits like that without moving and somebody not sitting on the seat and exercising gaskets, every piece of it leaks. Every gasket, you get it hot, you put new oil in it, and every oil's coming out of every gasket. These barn find videos where you watch on whatever it is, car TV or whatever, and yet these guys turn a $10,000 barn find into a $100,000 car. They're only telling you part of the story. They got teams of people that when the camera turns off, they're stripping it down and cleaning the motors and the heads for new gaskets and head gaskets, and you're replacing every gasket all the way down that motor. You're replacing I could go on for hours at what you're replacing. Anyway, these are the 2 stories I told you today. That car started right on fire. Right on fire. I ended up having to bring spark plug wires, a whole spool of wire, and rewire it right at the impound out there. It was in the country, so I kind of got away with it. I ended up breaking even. I mean, even everybody in them little towns knows each other, so they let me. They didn't say nothing. I paid the whatever it was at the time, $350 for the night, $300 or whatever it was, and then I sat right in the engine bay and rewired it up just enough to get it home. You know, put new spark plug wires on it that burnt off. I had to rewire all this, you know, some sensors and just enough wiring hanging off with duct tape to get that thing home. You know, and I think that, you know, those are a couple of the horror stories I've dealt with. Those are only 2. I have 100 of them. 100 I can come up with. So if this little series takes off, I'll tell you a bunch of horror stories that you get into when you're a car mechanic and you think you're just going to be Mr. You're going to be Mr. I can buy and sell cars. Well, there's these people sell cars. There's these tiny little problems that are so touchy. That's why they got such a nice car, you know. Cars I've had to rewire the whole alarm system or put inline sensors because the keys don't read anymore and they can't make them, and the security systems, like Cadillac was notorious for them. Old Buicks, old security systems had the resistors in the keys that are don't work anymore and you can't buy them, and then the car won't turn over because you're not reading the right resistor. I could show you a pack of resistors I had to buy 10,000 of them. Radio Shack was closing. I bought every resistor they had. Little resistors are they put a little resistance on a line, you know, for ohms and readings, and that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I bought every one they had left. I think I have 10,000 resistors here. They sold them all, the whole bag to me for, I think it was like $50. I got thousands of them in case I ever have to deal with old security systems on cars again. But I mean, this is not a life for people that they think you're just going to get into the game and you're just going to be a mechanic. I have 20 years of experience, and when I go look at a used car, like I'm trying to tell you in my last videos, there's always the chance that there's a serious hidden problem in the electrical system. And then you better be really, really good at wiring diagrams. Really, really good at using your voltmeters, which I got a couple of. Really good at following the wires and finding out checking where there's supposed to be points. You're buying, you gotta buy manuals like this because you're getting into serious, you know, you're gonna get into serious electrical charts, right? And this is just a motorcycle, which is really easy anyway. They got electrical charts in here too, you know. And it's just, I guess, to end the video, because it's 20 minutes and everything else, and I told you the stories, and I'll probably do a little series on nightmares and cars, you know, purchases. And these are just 2 that came to the top of my head today that we were talking about on the other videos. Like and subscribe if you enjoy these stories. And don't think that it's easy like it is on TV. That's the takeaway here. It is not easy like it is on TV. If you got a garage and a team of people that can work, and you got guys looking at electrical diagrams, reviewing charts online because you got a program you pay for to see bulletin tabs on certain specific weird issues on these cars that you can reference, and you got a team of people that are taking the motor apart and fixing it, getting it prepared for new gaskets and blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then you start selling that car, and these guys sell it for $100,000. They got to pay all these guys. If you're just a single guy and you think you're going to go out and be the next, big time flipper, that is not how it works. That's all I was trying to get at in this video. So I hope you enjoyed the little stories I told. It's just a couple of them. I'm telling you right now, when I fall asleep tonight or I'm thinking about it, I got about 10,000 of these stories. So if you guys enjoy this and you like and subscribe on these videos, I'll know which and what videos and content to make for you. Thanks. Like and subscribe. Thank you.